You think it ain't real out here in these streets? It's real out here in these streets.
The streets of Vegas.
The Streets of Vegas, Season 5. Today's episode, we have my man Rory McAlister. How you doing, my brother?
Dave, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? Appreciate you coming through, man. Now, let me give you a little bit of history about Rory, man. His career is so extensive. He's a Chicago DJ house architect, mentored by Frankie Knuckles, former DJ show on KLUC's 98.5, former local field rep for labels like Def Jam, Atlantic, Death Row, Interscope, just to name a few. Currently, he hosts the Ultimate House Party on Power 88 on Saturday nights. It's at 10 o'clock, right?
10 o'clock.
Okay. Past winner of a Tom Joyner DJ contest out of Chicago, owner of Record Systems LV, from Chi-Town to Vegas, DJ Pioneer Award in Vegas 7 magazine, inducted to the Frankie Knuckles DJ Hall of Fame in 2013. So we just want to welcome Rory Mack to the show, man. It's a privilege and a pleasure, man. I hope I got everything right. This man's extensive. His career is so extensive. Any DJ that's probably been in Vegas, he's had a hand in their career in one way or another. So we just appreciate you, brother. I want to give you your flowers while we can, man.
Thank you, man.
So how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. But, still got me here on the end kind of trying to celebrate me. But I definitely want to make that connection with regard to you and your contributions as well, man, because I don't think that Vegas really know how much you really put in, for this whole situation leading up to where we are now, man, because you was definitely on the streets. You was in the trenches, man.
Yeah.
In the trenches with me, actually.
Paid dues in them trenches,
on,
man.
Bro. Come on, man.
We talking about the street team era, man.
Yes,
so
sir.
I appreciate all the lessons we learned, man, all the building, man, all the networking, and it was just priceless, man. So I definitely appreciate it, man.
Yep.
So we're going to get into it, man. We're going to start out, man. You know, you from Chicago,
right?
To Vegas. But what brought you to Vegas, man?
Well, I was enlisted in the Air Force, man. Uncle Sam. Actually, I ended up leaving actually left Chicago March 10th, 1981, man.
Okay.
Shortly after high school, a few months after, because I graduated 1980.
Okay.
And actually, our crazy heyday with the whole evolution of house, man, where we pretty much took the whole origin from Frankie Knuckles Club, concept with the Warehouse, man, which, I'm sure at some point, you're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But the whole concept of that, we basically brought to the streets and the kids, basically, man, because Frankie's situation was, a private social club type of thing.
Okay.
Actually, it was black gay,
really?
But at the same,
it was more of an intimate situation. It wasn't open to everybody.
Right. Nah, it was just membership. It was that kind of thing. But the buzz was just crazy, in the streets based on where we were at the time, and us being DJs for what we were doing, man. Obviously, our ears were to the streets, and we, kind of knew what was going on too, because obviously music was the common denominator, and a lot of us as DJs, including Frankie, we all, pretty much met in the middle when it came down to, sharing music, the places where we used to go to get our records from the record stores, the record pools, all of that, man. So obviously, we were like one big family conglomerate at the end of the day.
It was a lot of y'all. And was that your earlier crew, the RSS Rare Sounds of Space DJ crew? Was that your crew? Now, how many was in that crew?
Well, actually, it's man, it was
collective.
It was really I'll say it was a collective, but it started out in origin as Space. Okay. And Space was basically me, being the original DJ of Space.
Okay.
And to even bridge some of the gaps there, one of the key figures that was actually in that crew with me was Vince Lawrence, which eventually had went on to connect with Jesse Saunders.
Okay, Jesse Saunders.
He was Jesse Saunders' partners in founding Trax Records.
Okay.
But Vince started with me.
Okay.
So let's get that clear.
Get that straight.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so Vince started with me. Vince was pretty much in charge of all of our street promotions. He was the one field marketing, that kind of thing. Now we're talking about, 1979, 80, man. And there was no internet, there was no social media.
It really had to be word
Come
of
on,
mouth,
man. It was straight up
Okay.
grassroots, man.
Okay.
And our whole thing was that, because the music was so trendy at the time, it started with radio. Okay. And I'll talk a little bit about that, and that's kind of where my inspiration came from when I touched down in Vegas, man, because obviously me being new to Vegas, I just knew at some point I could touch more people through the airwaves than I could to, maybe get a little small hole in the wall somewhere in the middle of nowhere trying to promote, trying to promote things when I knew that the airwaves would touch more people through the ears, because that's how I was inspired initially. Obviously, we weren't old enough to go to the clubs, but, we could turn the radio on all day, man, and, cats were there. Still do that, so that's kind of where it was. So, getting back to the whole space thing, myself, Vince Lawrence was pretty much, over, majority of the teams that we had pretty much formulated in every high school, man, on the south and the north side of Chicago.
High schools on lock.
Right. Okay. So that's where we started, man. We had key people that basically was in every high school. So when we would promote parties, basically we had one graphics guy downtown. If you know about Chicago, Chicago's
you from South Side of Chicago,
I'm from the South Side.
Shout out to the South Side.
Right, definitely, man.
Okay.
So if you know about Chicago, man, when it comes down to graphics and publications and things like that, man, we pretty much the publication capital.
Okay,
they are. Print shops, print media, all of that. Let's definitely back in that day, man. It was actually a guy that we used to go to. His name was Larry, man. Right off.
He did all the flyers.
Right off of Halston and Lake, man. We used to go to his shop right up under the L tracks, man. Like if you ever see some of the scenes in Chicago with the trains running,
right up.
Right. So Larry was that guy, man, and he stayed open pretty much 24 hours a day, man. So we might get ideas like 2, 3 in the morning, man, and we run down to Larry's and take sketches and different things down there, and Larry would bring our ideas to fruition, man. The poster boards, all that stuff, man. So we was doing that back then, man, where we was putting up, our advertisements on the light poles and the street poles and all that stuff. And obviously for us to rep the labels with No Limit and Def Jam, Defo, all of that, that's where that concept came from.
Okay. That was street team back then.
Come on, bro. We talking about that was basically 15 years prior to us bringing that to the music industry.
But
we was already doing that in the streets where we
was doing that for like your own parties and all that stuff like that.
Oh, come on, man. Well, that was our social media.
Okay.
Because, with the kids, obviously, hey, man, all it took was a handful of flyers. We might have had 10 key people in each high school, girls primarily, because, the dudes going to follow the females.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's hit the ladies. Y'all, hey, man, sausage, come on, bro.
That's crazy, man. What was the scene like in Vegas in '84 when you touched down? And you was coming from Miami, right?
Oh, yeah, I
came from Miami. So when you was in Miami doing that 81, 83 era, was the bass game real heavy then?
No.
It wasn't? It was before Luke and all them.
It was pre Luke, man. It was more on the freestyle tip then.
The freestyle, okay. Okay. So when you came,
because the whole Latin market is, and it's still prevalent. In Miami, but that's primarily where the music was. It had tempo. Definitely had the tempo. The music,
expose.
All of that, man. So the tempo was there, but at the same time, man, it was just a subculture. Just like you know about New York and Chicago's the same way, where we got our little small neighborhoods and townships within the city, the greater Chicago area. Same thing with New York with the boroughs, where Miami is the exact same way.
I got you.
You got Little Havana, you got Carroll City, you got all the different areas that was out there, man, and it was always something popping culturally, out in Miami, man. So that's kind of where it was. The Goon Bay Fest, man, that was big, with the Caribbean community. And you talking about the sound systems, man, incredible.
I bet it was crazy,
you know,
man.
all the DJ crews, man. And when them cats used to come out and set up, man, they used to bring like 18-wheeler trailer trucks with just bass cabinets, man. In fact, when I was in Miami, even before I came here, 2 years before I came here, there was a sound guy that actually built custom speakers, man. If anybody that's listening to me talk right now that's from Miami that know the game from like maybe in the 70s and the 80s, man, they gotta know Mr. Hank. Mr. Hank was the man. Mr. Hank was that guy, man. It's like anytime you needed the custom speakers, you needed the bass, you went to Mr. Hank. I had Hank.
He had it on lock.
I had Hank make me a set of custom cabinets, man, that I killed South Miami with. Like I had the Air Force base on lock. We had a battle of the DJs, out there, and basically the winner of the battle DJs basically got the contract for the whole base. So I ended up having I won the contest too, and this was 1982, man. I got the trophy sitting on my fireplace right now in the crib.
Wow.
Right?
Wow,
but
man.
I'm gonna tell you what I wanted with, man. Planet Rock had just dropped, and I had it on promo. Right?
Planet Rock,
bro.
Wow.
Soul Sonic Force, man. Shout out to Ice-T, man. He be on the commercial with my man. On the what's that? The car shield commercial.
The car. Yeah.
Mr. Biggs, man. Shout out to Ice-T and all of them. And I know it's somewhere Paulie Mack probably listening to
Mack. Shout out
Syndicate.
to Paulie Mack. Yeah, Rhyme Syndicate.
That's fam as well, man.
That was probably, speaking of Ice-T, that was probably them Reckless days. When the Reckless joint.
Right, that. This was actually, this was pre-Reckless. This was pre-Reckless because Breaking hadn't even came out yet.
Oh, okay. Now
Beat Street had probably just dropped. Beat Street had just dropped, and Planet Rock was, like I said, I had it on promo because
Planet Rock was on fire.
I was in the record pool out there, but this was the deal with Planet Rock. What I did with Planet Rock, when I played that, I was talking about the bass. That was kind of the introduction to the bass in Miami with Planet Rock, because obviously they were paying homage to Kraftwerk. If y'all know the whole history of the electronic,
Kraftwerk. That was the first really electronic.
Go back and listen to the vibes in Planet Rock, man. You hear elements of Trans Europe Express, and numbers and all of that. All of that had just dropped, man. So somewhere along the lines, and Bambaataa, he was into that whole thing with the Zulu Nation and taking that to a whole nother level. So they was into that whole interplanetary black nation,
a whole nother,
Zulu
took it
Nation
somewhere
kind of thing. So they like, hey man, we out of space. So that's kind of where that was. But how I actually nailed this battle, which I was already killing them with the mixes, right? But man, I actually manually took Planet Rock and ran that mug backwards, right? In the middle of the battle, and folks just lost it. They just walked up to me and just handed me the trophy, bro.
Game over.
And even at that time, it was kind of crazy because somebody was hating in the background, man. I had a Triumph system. Yamaha P2200s, man. If you remember those amps with the big chunky meters, I still got them amps, man, right to this day at the house, right? And they still work, still crispy. P2200 Yamahas, y'all look that up, man. For everybody,
vintage. That's vintage.
Vintage now, but back in the day, that was state of the art, sound reinforcement, man. And I had 3 of them joints crossed over. With mad bass, the whole 9 yards. Somebody pulled my bass amp. So all you heard was mids and highs. And one of my partners that was in my crew, man, I was still on. Everybody on the floor still dancing, still rocking. And my man, went back in the back to try to find out what was up. Wasn't nobody gonna fess up to it. But he finally went to the source, man, found the plug, plugged it back in, and we didn't miss a beat. Bass came back in. Yeah, man. Hatred is live and well been there.
That's wild, man. That's wild.
So
in '84, like, what was Vegas like? Was it new? Was you new to the market? Was it different from coming from the Midwest? Or like what?
Well, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna stop at Miami, when I first got orders, you know, that the Air Force wanted to transfer me to Miami, Nellis Air Force Base.
Okay.
I was like, well, man, Vegas 24-hour town. I didn't really know nothing about Vegas at that time other than, you know, Elvis and the Rat Pack and, you know, all the...
Really wasn't no hip-hop scene. Really wasn't no music
scene.
Well,
yeah, it was, and I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
But... you know, that's all I knew, just basically being on the outside looking in. You know, you always heard about that, obviously, you know, the big shows and, you know, Elvis and the big, you know, the big strip shows and different things. Frank Sinatra.
That's what they was known for more.
That's where the entertainment was, the live entertainment.
Okay,
but, you know, who knew anything about the streets? But I was like, well, I know they're 24-hour town, nightlife entertainment. They got to have some nightclubs. That's all I thought. So I was like, yeah, I know I'm going to be good when I get out there. So I just got to get out there, put my foot out there and just kind of research it. Okay, I'm going to... What camera am I looking at right here? I guess y'all see it. I see it. Dance music report. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all some stories that's actually inside this edition of Dance Music Report. But this was our Bible when with regard to the music industry back then. Basically, if you wanted to know anything national,
like hot records
about
or what's going
all
on,
the trends, you know, the streets, whatever was going on, whether it was hip hop, you know, whatever. Dance Music Report was our Bible, man. You could pretty much
get it like a monthly publication?
It was a weekly.
Weekly. Wow.
You could get this thing and you could pretty much get an idea of what's hot from retail, you know, retail, national radio. You got product reviews. You got, you know, articles, a lot of different things like that. And every year, the year-end edition, they used to have a national directory of record pools, right? And the record pool that I was associated with in Miami, which was Southeastern Disco Association, CEDA, you know, we actually had a space in there. You know, all our pools in Chicago too. I can name a few. National Disco Jocks Association, Audio Talent, you know, IRS, which actually also had a record store, which was called Imports, etc. And that was like one of the big record stores that, you know, all the DJs used to buy, you know, where you could just get all the trendy music. And actually at one time, Frankie Knuckles was actually you know, he was a product buyer for the store, and he actually worked in the store.
Did he?
Yeah. So, you know, I think it was like every Tuesday or something like that, man. You know, stuff that Frankie played in the club, say like on Saturday, everybody ran down there on Tuesday because most of the shipments came, you know, on Tuesday, to the point to where people had to get it. They might only got, say,
a
maybe
limited
10,
supply.
Like 10, 20 copies. And, you know, Frankie would hold up this record. He put it on. And as soon as he put it on, man, them joints was sold out.
Wow.
Because they used to have a playlist. So a lot of times when you went to the counter, you didn't necessarily know what was up, but you had good buyers that knew the music. So a lot of times if you was asking for like a certain, you could have asked for a certain title, but then they would turn around and say, well, hey, if you like this,
you might like this.
Then, hey, I know you're going to check this out. You know, they didn't necessarily have listening stations, but they did have turntables behind the counter. So a lot of times, man, they might have had a reference copy. They put that on for you. Like maybe you might have heard a little something in the streets at the time. The mix shows were popping. You know, Hot Mix 5, Farley, Jack Master Funk, Kenny Jam and Jason, Scott Smoking Seals, and Happy Birthday to Scott, because his birthday was yesterday. My man out of Chicago, one of the original Hot Mix 5. You know, definitely, man. So that kind of thing. So that's how the buzz went. It was all grassroots, man.
Real
grassroots. So getting back to the whole directory thing, you know, Vegas, I looked up Vegas because I was getting ready to make the move to Vegas, and I was like, well, let me see if Vegas got a record pool.
You was doing your market research.
I mean, this was every day for me. Because I was actually an active member of my record pool. I was remix consultant for CEDA in Miami. So every time we got records, I would actually, you know, pick 5 or 10 records, and I would do product reviews, and a lot of times those reviews would get placed in DMR. You know, so I was early on it. I was real early on it. So when I came out here, man, it wasn't nothing but a slam dunk for me because, you know, it was just a lot of things that obviously I was already doing it. I seen that, you know, Vegas wasn't really up on. So basically all I did was share my wisdom with Vegas, and, you know, rest is history.
You was ahead of the curve.
Rest is history.
Now, with that being said, is that what led you to start Record Systems LV?
Well, I really didn't start it, but this is what I was saying. When I looked in the directory, Vegas had a record pool. Okay. It was Las Vegas Record Service.
Sir,
okay. Which at the time, George Luster, aka Hurt 'Em Bad.
Oh, that was Hurt 'Em Bad?
That was Hurt 'Em Bad.
Wow.
Okay. And also Frankie, DJ Frankie was associated, you know, with George at the time. And eventually Frankie had broke off and started Las Vegas Record Systems. Okay. That's where Record Systems started.
Oh,
it started with Frankie.
Okay.
So somewhere down the line, maybe a couple of years, you know, after that, you know, Frankie actually had sold the pool to Phil Riccardi. Phil Riccardi had acquired the pool, and shortly thereafter, you know, which I had relationships with all of them at time, but because of the fact that I had, you know, so many connections to, you know, record service all across the country, from factoring in leaving Miami. Okay. I still had my connects in Chicago. I still had my connects in New York.
With all those pools.
You know, only market or only region that I was lacking was on the West Coast, because here it is now, I'm on the West Coast, and there's certain independent projects that's coming out of the West Coast that obviously took a while to get back to, you know, say the East Coast or what have you. But because I was here and I was already, you know, into that whole network with, you know, getting the stuff early before pre-releases and basically being one of the test makers to, you know, pretty much break that stuff and share it with the masses in the community, I was already up on that. So when I got out here, that was my first thing. I'm like, okay, let me see who's the record pool out here. So
and what are they doing?
Tapping into George. Okay, soon as I got here, man, I already had a phone number. So it's like, soon as I got here, I made a call. I was like, hey man, you know, I introduced myself, and that's what it did. Basically, my resumes were demo tapes and business cards. So I got around and just started, you know, pounding the pavement, just plugging into everybody that was somebody.
Just working it.
So I hit George, you know, hit him with a demo, you know, hit him with a demo and a business card.
That was the real mixtapes.
The real mixtapes. Hit him with a demo and a business card. You know, later on, the next edition came out, and actually George's listing was actually the year prior. Because I got here October '83. But the listing with George that was actually in the magazine was the December '82 edition. In December '83, Frankie's address was actually in that edition. Now, the way that they used to release the edition used to come out a month early. So figuring the December issue would drop in November. I got here October 14th, '83. You know, I knew of Frankie because at the time, Frankie and his crew actually had the Magic Mix. They were doing KUNV 91.5.
91.5.
Right. And at the time, they were kind of floating back and forth between 88.1 and 91.5, you know, with the mixes. And at the time, the hotel parties were kind of popping at the time.
Was they then?
Yeah. Michael Jackson lookalikes, you know, the whole thing. Thriller was on fire at the time.
Right.
So that was kind of the vibe, man. You know, and Scott Turner, man, wherever you are, Scott was like, you know, our premier Michael Jackson lookalike. Yeah. And he was one of the crew. Man. So he used to get out there and like all the Michael Jackson contests they used to have, man, at the hotels, man, like the Aladdin, the El Rancho, Sahara Hotel,
all the classic
spots,
all
the spots, man. That's pretty much where it was. And then eventually came That's Entertainment, which was like
I remember That's Entertainment. I remember that.
That was the, you know, the premier spot for the high schoolers and you know, and just the teenagers and all of that. But you know, most of that game was basically coming from Sundays because KUNV 91.5, that was pretty much it, man, where you got the culture on Sunday. Urban Sunrise started at 6 in the morning. Okay, and you had Dino, if y'all remember Dino Esposito. Dino was the host for the early show along with my man Marcus Glasgow, which eventually became my roommate. But Marcus also went on, relocated to LA, man. He's a big videographer, cameraman for Hollywood, Black Hollywood right now. Yeah, he went on to work for BET and you know, a lot of other networks, man. Shout out Marcus, man. I know he's out there. But Marcus and Dino used to host Urban Sunrise from like 6 to I think it was 12 noon.
It started 6 in the morning.
That was Sunday morning, bro.
God.
KCP used to play, and they still play church. You know, gospel.
And they was going with the
they only and knowing that obviously 88.1 is and was you know, the primary urban heritage station at the time, and traditionally still to this day. Shout out to my alma mater, and I'm still there holding it down. Power 88.1. You know, they had the gospel community still have them on lock. And that Sunday thing, I'm sure a lot of the sponsorships come from you know, the gospel community. So for the most part, they give that entire Sunday to the church community, from sun up to sundown, still to this day. To this day. So back then they did that. So your only alternative was 91.5. So when you turned it on 91.5 on Sunday, it was flavor.
It was popping. Was 91.5 kind of like now it's kind of like a college station or something?
Well, it was college then. KUNV, UNLV.
Yeah, okay.
Still KUNV.
So it's been around that long,
Yes,
huh?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Man.
So
speak about RIP to your pops, man, Maurice McAlister.
Okay.
Of the Radiance off Chess Records. What role did he play in your music career, man, in your life, man?
Come on, man.
I know you was a shorty around. Speak on that a little bit, man.
I was daddy's junior apprentice, man. You know, so I mean, realistically, every time he had the provision, if I wasn't in school, primarily sometimes on weeknights, but you know, a lot of times, man, obviously I had to get my homework
get your studies done.
You know, whatever. But you know how cats would grind out the sessions, man. You know, they be on lockdown, and you know, you wouldn't see them for 2 or 3 days, man. And you know, next thing you know, they coming out with classics. You know, and the classics back then, classics today was. They were brand new vibes back then, you know, because them cats were innovators, you know. So
and that was the legendary Chess Records.
Oh yeah. You're talking about, man, in the 50s. Obviously, you're talking about the evolution of blues with Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley. You know,
Etta James is on Chess.
James.
Okay. So he was the Radiance was right up there with all them cats.
On top of that, man, with Daddy, you know, obviously being, you know, the founding member and the leader of the Radiance itself. They came out of church too. Greater Harvest Baptist Church, Chicago, 51st and State, still in existence to this day.
Now.
I just drove by there 2 weeks ago when I was at the crib, man. I have to do that. I have to go to the neighborhood and, you know, get through and retrace my steps, man, and, you know, grab the piece of the heart that I left at home, man. You know, I do that all the time when I go home. You know, so Pops, like I said, man, I used to tag alongside him when I did. Probably the weekends was probably best for me because, you know, again, when he was there on the weekends, you know, I had the weekends off. So most of the time, he used to give my mom a break because, you know, she was a housewife. So for the most part, she was at home with me. But, you know, any other time, I was rocking with Pops.
Yeah, plug
you
right
know,
in.
I was just rocking with Pops, man. You know, he was like my best friend, man.
Man, that's deep.
Yeah,
man.
so, you know.
he kind of gave you that spark, like as far as the music goes, to like get into the music and stuff?
Look here, man. I'm just saying, obviously being in the studio with him, he was also a writer as well. So, you know, for him to be, you know, obviously in the lab, man, you know, with the musicians, Maurice White, drummer. Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know, if you go to all his sessions, man, Maurice White played drums on all my dad's records, man. All of them. I
did not know that.
Every one of them, bro.
That is deep, man.
Louis Satterfield, you know, which was eventually evolved. He ended up, you know, leaving Chess and you know, went with Maurice White to form Earth, Wind, and Fire. Louis Satterfield was bass player for Earth, Wind.
Wow.
You know, that they
That's
all
some roots,
they were all original session. They were session musicians.
Session musicians.
Right. And also Maurice White, if you're familiar with jazz, Ramsey Lewis. Also, Maurice White was you know, one of the members of Ramsey Lewis Trio.
The Ramsey, I was just about to say that.
Come on, bro. So I could give y'all a whole lot of heritage even on Chess. And one thing about Chess too, that really I feel like don't necessarily give, get the recognition they deserve. You usually only hear about the blues and maybe a pinch of the soul.
That's all I really heard about. Yeah, but it's deeper than that.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Okay, Aretha Franklin weekend, man. I'm gonna say the weekend because
that's coming up.
I'm celebrating other night. So everybody that tunes in to me every week, every Saturday night house party, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. because of the fact that it was Aretha Franklin's birthday, man, and I always, gotta get them flowers where
you do.
You
always stay on top
I
of
gave
that.
them flowers. So for the most part, man, showing love and respect and sharing the heritage, man, to let the listeners know, because obviously mom and them listening too, man. I ain't no baby.
Right.
So,
right.
So at the same time, I got to get them a little something. As well as sharing a little something, with the youngsters too, man, because, they feel the evolution. And for everybody that's been with me, y'all already know I'm celebrating my 38th year in radio here this year. So come on, man.
That's nuts, man.
I'm like I said, I don't think that anybody else can, really say that.
That's a tenure, man.
Around,
a lot of cats done came and went, man.
They done came and went, and I'm still here, man. Still being responsible.
Yeah.
Still doing that. Still being proactive.
Yeah.
Still holding this music industry down as well, man.
Yeah,
so
real, man.
At the same time, so that whole thing with my dad, man. Like I said, groundbreaking, bro.
Yeah.
And just being there, and the beauty with him when he was actually in the control in the music room with the musicians and stuff, they working out melodies, he got his pen out, they doing what they do.
They working it out.
I had a chair right next to the engineer. That's where I sat. I was right next to the legendary Malcolm Chisholm, man. He's the cat that mixed and mastered all the legendary tracks that came out of Chess, man. All the Muddy's Water stuff, all the Etta James stuff, all that. That guy I was soaking all of that in, man. I know you probably had to remember when kids used to have career day in grammar school and all that, where every now and then they would have a representative come from come to school and basically share, some of their accomplishments and things like that. And then, they would go around and ask the kids, hey, well, who do you want to be, or what do you want to do or be when you grow up?
Okay.
Folks wanted to be firemen and the girls wanted to be nurses and all. I said, man, I want to be a sound engineer. That's what I told him straight off.
You was right there, right there.
Because I seen it, man. Like I said, I was just all fascinated with that, man. Even before I had a chance to put my hands on my first straight edge razor blade to physically splice and edit.
Wow.
I seen it done firsthand, man.
When they cutting the tape.
Oh, when they used to be in them sessions, man, like, I know you probably James Brown is the best person where, you can go to them old James Brown albums and hear part 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Whereas like at the time on the 45s, if you know the whole technical protocols of the 45s, man, realistically, they would cut them usually under 3 minutes, because radio wouldn't allow you to actually play a record that was actually under 3 minutes in length.
You couldn't play one under 3 minutes.
Right. They wouldn't let you play a record over 3 minutes. So it had to be at least 3 minutes and under for you to even qualify for radio play. But in the sessions, that's all they doing, man. Most of the time, these are ideas on the fly, right?
5-7 minute joints.
Oh, bro, 5-7, man. Come on, man. Sometimes it might be, they work on one track and they just jamming for like 20.
I see. I
okay,
so tracks.
So once they came up with this organic idea, they would all go home and they on to the next, doing whatever they doing. The engineer's right there in the lab, and his job was to, deliver a 2-minute edit. Or something like that. So most of the time, man, he was in there. I used to just be fascinated with all the knobs and all the stuff, man. And great thing to Malcolm. Shout out to him. Rest in peace, man, because, he gone too, man. But at the same time, he used to take time and I would ask him, I say, hey, what's that? And he would showed me what that was, and he turned the knob, and it was like magic, man.
That's
you
great.
know, where he would shape the sound and all this other stuff, and you talking about
how could you have been like how? What
man, well, we talk. I know you probably seen that picture of me and my pops.
I got the picture. I got it. Yeah,
walking
what,
down the
7,
aisles
8,
in chess,
maybe
man.
7, 8?
No, bro, I was at that time. I was like 4, 5.
God.
Yeah, we talking about like 1965, 66.
Wow.
You know, so
wow.
you know, I'm aging myself right now. you know, but at the same time, y'all kind of know what that is, man.
Yeah, what is that?
But even giving you information, because if you know about the evolution of Motown pretty much
that's kind of like the blueprint, right?
Well, chess was the blueprint for Motown, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously, chess made their mark in the 50s with the blues and the soul and all that other stuff, and not, you know, getting too far off of Aretha Franklin. The reason why I bought Aretha Franklin up was because of the fact that chess records didn't really ever get the credit that they deserve, man, because the Chess Brothers were visionaries, bro. You know, if you're familiar with WVON in Chicago.
No.
WVON still exists to this day, man. Rest in peace, Purvis Spann. Purvis Spann, you know, eventually acquired WVON, but WVON was originally, it was formed and founded in 1964. The call letters VON stood for Voice of the Negro.
Oh,
right?
Man, that's crazy.
Okay, but they were founded in 1964. Chess owned the radio station.
That was the direct plug for their records then, wasn't it?
That's why they did it.
Wow.
Well, think about it this way: when you justify, you know, all the racism that was going on, man, with getting records played and the, you know, the brown bag. I know you done heard about that. You know, the whole under the table thing. You know, where the Caucasian, you know, DJs and the big radio DJs, and they loved our music, man, but it was real political, and they just knew that they could get that under table music, so they played hardball. So it was just one of them situations where, you know, Chess was like, hey, you know what, man, they gonna play that game. You know, and still to this day, Chicago is the third major market, you know, in the country.
Major market, they created their own infrastructure by doing that. Yeah.
So they were just like, hey, look, forget all that, man. You know, since y'all don't want to play that game, we gonna make our own records.
And break them.
We gonna break our own records. They recorded their own records. They had their own pressing plants, and you know, they actually brought the records to the masses via the radio station.
That was cold. I didn't know that. So
Purvis Spann, you know, he's the one that actually went in history. He basically is credited for giving Aretha Franklin the Queen of Soul tag.
Oh, he's the one.
He just passed away last week, man. Rest in peace, Purvis Spann. But
long time in the game.
Right. But his daughter Melody, she basically acquired, you know, because the WVON you know, station and call letters basically stayed in the family, but his daughter Melody basically, you know, took over operations over the years, and WVON is still in existence still to this day, you know, just based on, you know, Melody keeping it in the family, man. So rest in peace, Purvis. Again, happy birthday, Queen of Soul. Purvis Spann, you know, definitely giving her the name Queen of Soul.
I didn't know
so
that goes back, man.
Yeah, so again, man,
that name stuck with her. That stuck with her.
Breaking the records. And I'm gonna give you another Queen of Soul story too, that actually, you know, came actually within the same year, because Purvis Spann doubled as a concert promoter, you know, in Chicago on top. He was the blues guy. So, you know, from midnight to sun up, man, you know, basically you listen, you know, his tag was Purvis Spann, your all night long blues man. You know, so you basically heard him all night. So everybody that was, you know, basically you know, fans of the blues, man.
That was when you got the blues hour.
He was on hour. I'm saying he was all night,
from
bro.
Like 12
to about 5 in the morning, man.
Like a graveyard shift for blues.
He was the graveyard shift. But all the blues that you want to hear, probably from, you know, the Delta all the way up, man. Purvis was that guy.
Deep.
He was that guy, man. He played all of, you know, all the joints, man. So, crazy. but again, you know, seeing the responsibility in that, he also doubled as a concert promoter. So, you know, when it came down to all of those artists basically having the opportunity to come in, you know, Factor Chess Records, you know, with them manufacturing the records, and pre-Motown, Smokey Robinson and Barry Gordy were writers. They were staff writers for Chess.
Wow.
So
they got the game from them, and that's when they started.
On,
okay.
Come on, man.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So I could tell y'all so many Chess stories, man. Marvin Gaye, you know, he was original drummer for the Moon Glows, man.
I never knew he played.
They were signed to Chess Records.
Wow.
This was before y'all knew Marvin Gaye, the solo artist.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a drummer.
Okay.
You know,
so
and
a lot of them came from that Chess.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, you know, one of the members of the Moon Glows, the main, I guess, the founding member of the Moon Glows, man, Harvey Fuqua.
Okay.
He actually ended up leaving Chess Records, took Marvin with him, went to Motown, and he became Motown's A&R.
Oh,
but that was Chess.
That was Chess. That was all Chess.
Come on, bro. Like I said, this is story I'm telling you off the cuff, cause
it's deep though, man.
I was there, man.
Yeah.
But again, one more thing, and then we can move on, because I know you're trying to cover a whole lot with me.
Yeah.
But the Aretha Franklin thing, and the reason why I wanted to mention her and the whole diversity of Chess Records and just the music format was you know, not even limited to, you know, just R&B and blues, man. They did comedy records, man.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Oh, man, if Moms Mabley, man.
I heard of Moms Mabley. Okay,
Pigmeat Markham. Actually, Pigmeat Markham, if you hear any of the New York hip-hop cats, you know, say that one of the first records that inspired, you know, all the B-boys and the MCs to even rap was Here Come the Judge. That was a Chess record.
That was a Chess record.
Come on, bro.
Man, whoever owns that catalog is eating, man.
Marshall Chess, man.
Yeah,
Marshall is the heir to that, and Pop's probably got about 30, 40 songs in that catalog, and we still getting money off them songs.
Shout out to Pops, man. Maurice McAlister for the legacy, man.
Yeah.
And speaking on your inspiration as learning to engineer, man, this is a record that Rory cut for us, man, in 1994. Shout out to my boy Terry Bills, man, because he made the introduction for me to meet Rory, and we cut this at his house, man.
And
this
while
was a 12-inch single.
At that, here's the press photo.
Cut it out,
that
man.
Goes with
that's the photo to go with that.
Bro.
Yeah, it was. So this was 94, man. Additional mixes by Rory Madness McAlister, man.
Right.
And this is just like, it's still sealed up, man. It's still sealed up.
But look how crispy this picture is.
That's crispy, bro.
Bro.
Like it never even happened, man.
And also, while we at that, man, I got a gift for you, man. This is the original master negative for this photo.
No,
right here.
Dude. The original?
This is the original master negative out of this piece right here.
Golly, I remember that, man.
This will last you a lifetime, man. You could pass this down to your children.
I didn't even have that. I don't know how you got that.
Well, you remember, I was the one that duplicated these joints for y'all.
Okay.
See, what y'all got to know, Vegas, is it was all about, you know, unity for me.
Yeah.
Because obviously I came from that, you know, in Chicago, man, seeing my pops come up and, you know, all these legendary people basically come together and just form, you know, a massive nation and movement.
Just build a network. Yeah.
So I came with that same wisdom, man. I got that, you know, from my pops, from you know, all the people that came up that inspired me, you know, through his movement. So when I came out here and I seen everybody trying to figure it out, and even for me myself, obviously, you know, hey man, I'm the new kid on the block, but I wasn't new to the game.
You wasn't new to the game, right?
So for me, I was like, hey man, let me get in. I'm gonna be respectful, man. You know, I ain't coming out here guns.
Yeah,
you know?
but you had the whole recording set up at your crib, where you can cut like industry ready records at the crib, dog. I mean, like me and Terry went in there and just like blew our mind. Like, ain't no way this dude got this whole thing in his house, dog.
Yeah, well, so, I got an electronics engineering degree, man.
Right,
so,
on top of everything.
You know, you know, I've always been the technical cat, and then for me, I was like, hey man. Like I said, you know, basically taking pages from the masters when I'm sitting, you know, in the room with the masters that's doing that. I already had it. All I needed was gear. You know, so it was just
you had the knowledge, you just needed the gear. And that gear wasn't cheap back then, bro. Like that, man, that stuff was G's, man.
No. So, you know, actually, man, at that time I had just talking about 1983, actually I made my last payment on my 79 Chevy Camaro, man, in April of 1985.
Okay.
And right after I got the title to that car, I took it to a loan company and basically
just hustling, flipping.
All I did, I said, well, hey man, I got collateral with the title of this car. I turned around and basically took that title, and they gave me a chunk of money, and I just dumped that into the gear.
That's hustling.
You know,
bro.
and that's where it came from, man.
Man,
so,
that's crazy.
You know,
man.
I got my joints too, man. So
yeah,
y'all remember this, man. This is Hard Rock Wiz right here.
Okay, I'm about to say Hard. I couldn't remember the other cat's name.
Yeah.
Hard. Now that was one of the first cats you cut from Vegas, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, see how even Hard Rock Wiz came to me, man, was his mom and I was friends, and I didn't know she had kids, man, because she was my age. I'm like, how this chick gonna have a kid? But you know,
and she was had an early kid early.
And
yeah.
he happened to come to one of our parties, man, and you know he was out in the crowd, and you know he kept trying to get my attention or whatever, man, you know, and he finally came up to me and he was like, hey man, you know my moms. I was like, man, who's your mother? I'm like. Dog, you know, you a grown-ass man, dog.
Yeah.
Who was your mother? You know, I mean, he was a teenager at the time. He actually went to Rancho High School. He was going,
but I remember his name was on the streets, man, and we was like, man, this cat got a record out. We never knew, connected the dots that you was behind it.
Here's the label, Mack's Attack. Okay, Max.
Yeah.
You're talking about like Rory Mack.
Right, okay.
Okay, so it had a double meaning. I said, okay, Mack's Attack. You know, I felt like, hey, man, this was my way of attack the music industry.
That's crazy,
so I'm going to do it to the maximum.
Yeah.
But also, you know, giving you the Rory Mack tag.
The Mack tag, okay.
So I just kind of doubled it up. But that's where it is.
That's crazy, man.
So this was the second Madness record. The first one was I Like Percussion.
I Like Percussion.
This was the first one.
That was there. Now you went under the moniker Jack and Madness under that, right? Okay,
because at the time, man,
that's a house record, kind of like, right?
Well,
okay.
Yeah. Well, this was the thing, and it has a hip hop connection too. Much love to my man Grandmaster Flash, right? He actually is a friend of mine, you know. But at the time, I hadn't had the privilege of meeting him at that time. But probably about maybe a year and a half before I cut this, y'all might remember a compilation that he did on Sugar Hill Records, man, called Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel.
On the Wheels of Steel. I remember that. Yeah, DST.
Right.
DST and all them.
He was just basically, it was just Flash, man, you know, just cutting. Just on two turntables.
I remember
basically
that.
Just playing. You say one for the treble, two for the time, playing Funky 4+1. You know, Fearless 4, all the original hip hop records that basically evolved into, you know, who they were, even super rapping, all the original records that they cut.
Yeah, I remember that.
And if you know the origins of even house music, at the time it was all one.
It was all
because you go back to cats like Kool Herc and you know all the original, you know, b-boy DJs and all that, man. Basically, they were MCs that was playing, you know, out in the park or wherever they were. They were actually rhyming to disco breaks.
Because that's all they had, right? That's all. Yeah.
Right. Well,
they was just rocking the breaks.
That was the flavor of the day.
Yeah.
So I was already up on the disco stuff. Obviously, man. You know,
it was like a fusion, the disco and
Well, true disco is soul music.
So okay.
You know, I'm saying, man, if you go back to KC and the Sunshine Band and all them, man, you can go and hear interviews. They pigeonholed them cats and called them disco artists. But KC, you know, if you go back to some of them interviews, he says out his own mouth, he's like, man, I didn't even know what disco was, man. I was trying to make an R&B record.
R&B record, right.
And that's really where it was, man. He just happened to, you know, have lighter skin and just had blue eyes and had some soul.
Yeah.
But folks love that.
Yeah, I used to get house music mixed up until I heard soulful house.
Right.
So is that like what Chicago was really known for, soulful house?
Well, that was our origin. And again, man, you know, because all of those records in origin came from the soul. When you justify you know, a lot of the predominant records that actually made, which were basically R&B records. You talking about Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes and the OJs, man, and MFSB, all that Philly sound stuff, man. That was all house stuff.
House music,
and realistically, that's primarily where, you know, the evolution that came from, the Tramps and,
okay.
you know, all of those
all that
groups,
stuff came from
all
that.
of them, all of them groups originated from Philly. And in Chicago, we had, you know, our own artists, man, Gene Chandler, Lolita Holloway. You know, all of those groups that originated from Chicago that was part of that movement. But those records were soul records, man. You know, it just they just happen to have tempo because
upbeat,
and that's really where house is. You know, I mean, you go back to records like Funky Soul Makossa, man. You know, Manu Dibango. That was 1973, man. Which the guy you want to really call the godfather of you know, club music, house music, or whatever, man. Dave Mancuso. He was the one that basically you know, originated the whole loft concept, you know, with the underground after hour parties.
Oh, that's where that came from.
And Frankie Knuckles was part of that original movement, being from the Bronx in New York. So, you know, he ended up relocating to Chicago. You know, him and Robert Williams, they ended up forming the Warehouse, and basically that New York culture, you know, fused into Chicago. And that's how the whole house music situation was formed. The term house basically was short for warehouse.
That's what that was for.
Right.
Wow, man.
That's where it comes from. Music of the warehouse. But you know, house parties. Everybody had a house party.
Everybody had a house party.
Come on, man. Your mom and them had house parties.
That was popping.
We had house parties. You know, my inspiration as a DJ came from the house party because, you know, like you want to ask me where my inspiration as a DJ came from. I always give credit. Every trade review that I've ever done in my life to date, I give that credit to my mother. Because my mom was the one on the box.
Playing the records around the house.
In the house,
Saturday morning, cleaning
house,
up and all that.
In the house.
Original house music.
House music in the house, bro.
In the house,
so like, you know, my mom had 5 sisters, man. And, you know, obviously us, you know, my auntie, my cousins, all that, they used to always come together. And when they came together, the soundtrack was the music. Guess who played the records? Mom be like, hey, baby, you know, go over there and
Mom
put
was the original DJ.
Mom used to be like, hey, baby, go over there and put that James Brown on the box, man.
You listen to the whole album, turn it over and everything.
It was more about the 45s then. But still in all, I mean, obviously, it was special if you got the albums, man. But the 45s was like real big.
Shout out to moms, man.
Shout out to moms. Come on, man.
Well, man, we're going to wrap this thing up, man. There's so much more we can get into, man, but we're probably going to have to come back and do a part 2, man, because...
because we ain't really even covered Vegas streets yet, man.
We're going to have to scratch the surface, man.
Talking about record systems, Def
record
Jam.
Systems, the street team era, you know.
All of that stuff, man.
So we probably got to follow up, man, but... before we get out of here, man, tell everybody where they can find you at, man. I know you on Mixcloud, but where you going to be at tonight? Tell them where you going to be at tonight.
Tonight you can catch me on the air, power88lv.com. You know, if you're not in town, 88.1. You know, if you definitely got the old school radios on lock, if you're in the cars, whatever. Like I said, man, I'm paying.
And that's from
10 o'clock to 2 a.m. I'm paying homage to Aretha Franklin, man. It's her birthday yesterday, man. I got to celebrate the Queen.
Much love to the Queen.
You know, whole hour, man. So, you know, holla at moms, aunties, all that, man. You know, definitely a lesson for, you know, a lot of the enthusiasts, too, because you're going to hear a lot of those original records cats probably grab samples from.
I'm
you know,
sure,
a whole lot of other stuff, too, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, kind of working
And then you're doing
out.
the First Friday thing at Artisans, right?
So
and that's with your whole collective, right?
Right.
Okay.
So, you know, that's the House Party Collective. Myself, Jesse Saunders, our boy DJ Harry A.
Okay.
And just so you know a little bit about Harry A, man, Harry A is my alumni frat brother.
Okay.
He actually went to the same high school I went to, but Harry actually came out 10 years after I did.
Wow.
So, you know, we eventually met in Vegas, but just us comparing notes and, you know, and sharing stories. And he was like, well, hey, man, I went to Hales Franciscan, too. You know, shout out to Hales, man.
Okay.
You know, for everybody that know what that is, man. 4930 South Cottage Grove.
Man.
Southside.
Man,
Come on, y'all.
Man, that's crazy,
Yes,
man.
sir.
So we appreciate you coming through, man. DJ Rory Mack, Rory McAlister, man, a living legend in the Vegas scene, man. Then touched so many lives, man. We appreciate you, man. And one thing on Chicago, I heard they got a Harold's Chicken out here. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
How is it compared to the real deal?
I haven't been been there yet. And actually, this is the second
try.
This is the second run of the Harold's Chicken, because actually one of my boys that I went to high school with, his wife Joy, probably like about maybe I'd say a good 8-9 years back, they actually had 2 Harold's Chickens here back then, but they only lasted a year. I guess they had some misappropriations of funds and all that. They had one on Cheyenne and they had one on Rainbow right off Tropicana, man.
Wow.
You know, but I think the other one is I think it's off Warm Springs, somewhere over in that area.
Get by there, get a taste of that shot.
But yeah, man, Harold's Chicken is authentic, and I'm assuming that, you know, if they definitely part of the original Chicago franchise, man, they gotta have the recipes.
They gotta have it on,
you know, all that stuff to just even keep it. You know, even for them to be able to license the brand.
To bring it out here.
Yeah. How you gonna have Harold's Chicken and not have the flavor?
Do it right and not do it right?
Come on, man. But you know, we know.
Yeah.
So if I go there and I get me a 2-piece, man, and it ain't right.
Yeah.
They
gonna
find
find
I'm putting
out.
them on blast, bro. I can't have
Crazy,
it.
man. Crazy. Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Streets
man.
of Vegas,
Yes,
man.
sir.
DJ Rory Mack, Rory McAlister, Vegas Hype Media. Shout out to him, man. We'll check